and I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
Nothing is worse than being on a phone call that drops. Nothing is worse than trying to text someone and you can't reach them because your phone is out of service range. And nothing is worse than supporting these major corporations and companies who don't support us. That is why I love Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless network. They use every cell tower out there available to all networks so that they have the greatest 4G and 5G coverage nationwide, and they support the causes that are important to us as conservatives. If you go today to patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump and use the promo code Trump, you will get free activation today. Again, that is patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump. The promo code is Trump for free activation so that you can get a great cell plan and feel good about doing it. Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining us right here on The Right View. Before we get started tonight, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, AMAC. As we approach another critical election, a wave of concern washes over America. Recent studies reveal that an astonishing 56% of our fellow citizens report feelings of anxiety or dread about the upcoming presidential election. That's why I stand with AMAC. AMAC is more than a senior discount organization. During these challenging times, they fight for common sense and hope that our nation returns to traditional American values. Visit amac.us/Lara today to seize an exclusive election year special, a 4-year AMAC membership for just $30. As an AMAC member, you not only enjoy money-saving benefits, but also the AMAC magazine, free Social Security and Medicare advice, a trusted voice in Washington, and a community of like-minded patriots who love this great nation. By being an AMAC member, you're strengthening a movement dedicated to preserving the principles we hold dear. Take advantage of this election year special, 4 years for $30, and be part of the solution over the next 4 years. You can join us now at amac.us/Lara. That's amac.us/LARA. Tonight, we are joined by the founder of Lions Not Sheep, author of How to Make Shit Happen, and host of the Sean Whalen Show. Sean Whalen. Sean, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't dare talk about anything that might upset people, so we'll start with that. I'm just kidding. This could get crazy. I don't know what's going to happen today. I want to start with a Facebook post that you said made you essentially change your life in 2014. Tell us about that.
I had gone through what some would call a midlife crisis. I don't know what a midlife crisis is, but if it means leaving your business and your marriage and finding yourself trying to figure out why the hell you're even alive, that's what I categorized it as.
That'd do it, yeah.
Yeah, and I spent quite a bit of time just trying to figure out why I was even here. And I was in a really dark period, and I got online and did something that I had never done before. I told the truth. I shared my heart, I shared my soul, I shared the darkness, I shared where I was. And obviously this is everything's filtered and everything is, shadow banned and whatever else. And it ended up going viral. It reached tens of millions of people. And it was interesting because it was like my darkness. It was my truth. It was my real. It wasn't this glitzy, glamoury, look at how great life is. And I went from having a couple hundred followers like my mom and my neighbor and a couple other people to tens of thousands of followers in a couple of days, and it's been an interesting experience ever since. But that was the post that I shared, and it's been fun.
What do you think it was about that post that caught everybody's attention that essentially made it go viral?
It was real. It was real. I mean, you get online nowadays and you don't know what's real, and everything's filtered, and there's a filter for a filter, and everything's watered down, and we get a chance to script what we want to present and we want to put out there. And I shared my heart. I shared my truth. And most of my life, I had been programmed to lie like most of us are. Sit down, quiet down, slow down, don't say anything that's going to piss anybody off. And that's really how I operated for many, many, many years. And it led me into some deep depression. And I just finally shared it. And I just basically said, screw it. Like, I'm going to share how I really feel. And it was my deepest truth. And I think that's what resonated with people, is we're so used to just kind of being fed all of these things. And I don't feel good because everybody else seems to be winning. And so me sharing, this bearded tattoo guy that seemed to have it all together, saying, hey, I have darkness, I have depression, I have this deep anger and frustration. I think it really resonated with people.
Yeah, well, people like authenticity, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think, like, to your point, there is so much of the world that we currently live in that is inauthentic, that isn't real, that is manufactured. I mean, literally from like the things we eat and we put in our bodies every day to the things we consume via our phones or television or whatever it is. And quite frankly, it's the reason I always say that I think people actually like Donald Trump so much or have come to like him so much because he's authentic, sometimes Sean, to a fault, right? Like, this is a guy, you never got to worry what Donald Trump is thinking and whether or not he's actually giving you his truth, because you know he will. And sometimes people don't like that. But I actually would argue that right now, in this very moment, it's the reason that I think people are flocking to him, because they want authenticity. They want something that's real, even if that thing may not be perfect. And I think we need to see more of that out there.
It's socially unacceptable, and you can't say this and you can't say that. So when somebody like me or somebody like Donald Trump comes to the table and says, look, here's how I feel. I don't like this. I do like this. I do agree with this. I don't like this. It's kind of shocking because most people are used to just this watered down, socially acceptable, politically correct. And I'm a big fan, and I tell my clients, like, one take. Like, when I shoot a video, it's like one take. That's it. You know, and I've had some that have reached hundreds of millions of people. And I don't think people are used to that. They're used to just this mundane kind of one-dimensional reality. So, you know, when Donald Trump shows up or Sean Whalen shows up and says, no, this is how I feel, and it's not what everybody else thinks or not what we've been programmed to believe, I think that there's kind of a startle. People get startled. But deep down, they're like, shit, I really like that. Like, I vibe with that. I agree with that.
So you're kind of like a life coach now. Did you ever see yourself in this motivational life coach space prior to, I guess, that post in 2014?
No, in fact, I thought coaching was dumb. I was like, why would I pay somebody to teach me, right? Like Tony Robbins, I'm just going to go jump up and down and yell and scream. I'm like, I need to do that in my living room, right? But I had thousands and thousands and thousands of people reach out after that post went viral, like, hey, man, teach me what you did. What'd you do? I'm like, I don't know why you guys call Dr. Phil. He does that stuff. I'm just being a dude trying to live his life. But I found two things in that space. I found, number one, that people resonated with the truth. They resonated with the darkness. They resonated with what was real. And I had always been programmed to kind of hide that and not share that. And so I was kind of like, well, if that's the recipe to reach millions of people, then I'm going to keep doing that. And the second part of that experience for me was I felt better. I was like, well, I want to feel better. Everybody wants to feel better. So if me feeling better is sharing my truth, and I have this portal, this free experience, you know, we demonize Mark Zuckerberg, but Mark Zuckerberg created a pretty freaking rad experience through this social media thing. I was like, I'm just going to keep doing it. So I just, through the years, have just kept sharing my truth and sharing my truth and sharing my truth. And it's reached over 1 billion people so far.
Wow.
My videos have seen over 1 billion times, hundreds of millions of engagements through Facebook and Instagram. And so I just decided that's going to be kind of not only what I wanted to live for my life, or what I wanted to share and make that kind of the platform for the movement of Lions Not Sheep and what it is that I'm doing.
Well, it's funny that you say, you know, even if it's not perfect, you do the one take type thing, because something that I noticed is when I do, and I feel like I've started to do this more and more, when I do like, for example, my Mother's Day, like picture, right, with the family, it's our 2 kids who are 4 and 6 and my husband, Eric, and I, the 4 of us. And it is almost impossible to get these kids, like both of them looking at the camera, both smiling. So I actually often choose the photo where like no one's really looking, or somebody's
one's
doing
going
something.
This way, one's
yeah.
crying,
And I'm like, and I kind of make a joke out of it in my post. And I find that people kind of like that, because it is real and everybody can relate to that. I think maybe that's why people were drawn to your, I mean, I use the word authenticity, but authenticity, and you say darkness, because I mean, look, nothing's perfect. Life isn't perfect. Nothing that anybody does on a daily basis is going to be exactly how they, you know, want it to be. And so I think it's refreshing, and it makes people feel better to say, oh my God, look, like Lara Trump can't even get her kids to look at the camera. Yeah, no, I can't. I can barely like make it through a day, just like everybody else. We're all working, we're all hustling. And I love the title of your book, How to Make Shit Happen. Tell me about that. How did you come up with that, and what's that all about?
So as everything was growing, I'd always wanted to write a book, and I had written probably 5. And I say written, I basically started 5 or 6 different ones I was going to write about, you know, the divorce and how to come out of it and all these other things. And I had a call one day with a really close mentor of mine, I said, dude, I really want to write a book, but I don't know what to write about. And he said, if you could leave one message with the world, what would it be? And like my brain exploded because I instantly knew what that would be. And from the time that I wrote the very first word to the time it was shipping from Amazon was 6 weeks. So I spent a couple of years trying to figure it out. And I didn't have a publisher. I self-published it. And it's sold almost 1 million copies. We're coming up on 1 million copies, which is fairly rare in the book world to do that. And it's been 100% organic. I've never marketed it, but it's a book. I wrote a book that I would want to read. So there's no fluff. There's no puff. It's 100 pages long. There's big fonts, like big capital words, and people make fun of it. The irony is we wrote it so fast after it was shipping. I read one of the comments on Amazon one day, one of the reviews, and everybody said, and it said, this book is amazing, but did anybody else realize that there was no page numbers in it? And I was like, what are you talking about?
No,
so I went over to my box
God.
of books. And I opened up a couple of them and I called my editor, this lady that I knew, and I said, there's no page numbers. And so she ran and checked hers. And she said, I'll call Amazon. We'll stop printing. We'll fix it. And I said, no, leave it. Like, leave it. That's kind of my style. That's kind of me.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's how you like it. It's just like, you know what? That's what happened.
So that it's a #1 bestseller across multiple platforms, and it doesn't have page numbers.
And can you actually learn how to make shit happen by reading How to Make Shit Happen?
At the end of every single chapter, I say, go do this right now. You know, and one of the things like that as a family man, as a father, you know, I realized that a lot of people hang on to trauma and they have problems and there's drama in families and stuff. And like, I've always found that when you just hanging on to anger will kill you. Hanging on to anger is like Buddha says, like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So literally one of the things I tell people, I'm like, if you're reading this chapter right now on relationships, the passion portion of the book, and you have drama with somebody, beef with somebody, literally send them a text message right now. What most people will do is, well, I don't know, and it's been too long, and I don't really like them, and they owe me an apology. And that's not how the book is. It's like, no, go do this right now. Go do this right now. I think the amount of sales kind of is indicative of the organic nature of it and how many people have shared it, and it really works.
All right, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Swiss America. Our country is facing so many problems these days under Joe Biden. The last thing any of us need is more to worry about. Unfortunately, we now have to fear losing our freedom and privacy with the Democrats' new push for a digital dollar that could allow the government to tell us what we can and cannot buy with our own hard-earned money. That's why I'm encouraging every one of you tuning into the show right now to get The Secret War on Cash, an insightful report created by my friends at Swiss America. With this report, you'll learn how to protect yourself from the threats facing our freedom and your hard-earned money. The report is available right now to my listeners free of charge. Just call 1-800-289-2646 or visit www.swissamerica.com/Trump for your free report. If you suffer from chronic pain, listen up. Here's a way to help you get real relief. As a fitness fanatic, I understand recovery is just as important as the workout itself. But whether you're recovering from an injury or just looking for everyday relief from pain in your joints and muscles, nerve pain, fibrosis, and inflammation, I recommend Golden Revive Plus from Up Wellness. This advanced all-natural formula combines 6 powerful anti-inflammatory ingredients, including a proprietary turmeric extract that's 200 times stronger than raw turmeric. All of this to address the root cause of your pain, reducing scarring, swelling, and tissue damage using the healing powers of nature to help your body heal itself. Formulated by husband and wife team Doctors Josh and Amanda Levitt, Golden Revive Plus gives you real pain relief and better range of motion, plus better heart, eye, and brain health. Join the over 300,000 Americans who are already using Golden Revive Plus to get and stay pain-free. For a limited time, you can try Golden Revive Plus for 30% off at goldenrevive.com. Just use promo code Trump at checkout. I love that particular advice because it is truly, Sean, how I try to live my life. And it's funny because some of my closest friends, there's always drama, there's always stuff, and everybody's always got their issues with somebody else and whatever. And to me, that is truly how I've always tried to be. It consumes too much of me to hold a grudge against someone. And I know that that's just, people are different and everybody responds to things differently. But I get it. Like, we all can get upset about things. But I love that advice because you always feel better when you know, like in your heart, you know what, I couldn't have done anything more. I left it all out there. The ball is in their court. At least you made the attempt, and at least you have a clear conscience at the end of it. You know what I mean? Like that advice, I think it's fantastic. And honestly, as a mom, it's something that I hope that I can pass on to my kids, look, these kids are learning everything. They emulate their parents. They emulate those they're around the most. And I know that you've told people that your mom was stronger than anyone you ever knew. And so how do I get my kids, Sean, to look at me that way? I mean, we all want to be, shining stars in the eyes of our kids.
Right.
But again, none of us are perfect. How can I go down the same path as your mom?
One of the things that I share with people is, you can tell your kids how to dream, but they're going to watch you dream. Like, you can tell your kids how to love. They're going to watch you love. You can tell your kids how to build a big life, but they're watching you build a life. And so I saw that years ago when I went through my divorce, and I had kind of this change of thought process, is that, like, my kids are watching me. I can say, hey, go be happy while dad's sad, or go be nice to people while they watch me be a total jerk to people, or, go build your dreams while I work at a job that I can't stand. And so one of the things that I'm really passionate about as a father is showing my kids. And a lot of parents kind of shy away from telling their kids. And some people say, well, don't show them the emotions. And I'm like, I want my kids to know what's real.
Yeah.
So, I've got a daughter and 2 sons, and they're amazing. My daughter just got married. And so I chose years ago, I'm going to show my kids a dad who loves hard, lives hard, builds his dreams, follows his passion, is not afraid to say, what he wants to say, who stands up literally in front of the world. I've spoken on some of the biggest stages in the world, and I try and make sure that my kids are there. Not just, here's a picture of dad, but I bring my kids on stage, and they're part of everything that I do, because I want to see what I'm doing. And so for a parent, you can tell your kids till you're blue in the face. I mean, I don't remember a lot of the things that my dad told me, but I remember what my dad showed me. And so I know that, and this, as your kids get older, they're going to look back and go, hey, mom did, I saw mom do. And that's what's going to really last in their brain, and what's going to help them become, parents and good members of society and build their own dreams is by watching. So it's more important than ever before for mom and dad to get their own house in order, for them to be full, for them to be healthy, to build their wealth, because their kids are watching.
And how old are your kids?
My daughter's 21. My son's 18. God bless him. And my youngest is 14. He's 18, and he's just a ball of fire.
I'm sure. Well, I wouldn't expect anything else, quite frankly, from an 18-year-old. It's funny because I often talk about the fact that my kids are young. They're 4 and 6 years old. And I talk a lot about the fact that I'm very grateful right now that my kids are as young as they are, for the simple fact, Sean, that it feels like there is so much out there to deal with as a parent. And I want to get my bearings on all of it. And I want to be able to approach things in the best way possible. And I'm always trying to learn. You're never going to catch up. These kids are so smart, and they're so advanced in everything, technologically and otherwise. But, for me, I'm always trying to navigate as it happens and as the world is changing. And I feel like one of the things that I've often noticed with our younger generations is there's a definite sense of entitlement. And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that. Does that fall more with the parents? Does it fall with schools? Like, who is responsible for this sort of sense of entitlement that it really seems like our younger generations, at least here in America, seem to have, that everything should be given to them, everything should be easy, they kind of shy away from hard work and responsibility. Where does that fall for you?
Angry parents raise angry kids. Lazy parents raise lazy kids. Look, these are my children. These aren't the government's children. These aren't the school system's children. These aren't the church's children. They're my children. God gave them to me to raise. He gave me the stewardship to raise these kids, to teach them morals, to teach them values, to teach them economics, to teach them life. So there's no doubt about it that we live in a culture and a society that is we have this victim mentality being shoved down our throat.
Totally.
And there's a lot of people that are buying into it. You're not fat because McDonald's serves hamburgers. You're fat because you're lazy. I hate to break it to you, but that's just how it is. And so when your kid is literally nonstop on their phone and they're 12 or 13 and your mom and dad, and you're like, well, I can't really do anything about it. Bullshit. Take their phone. That's how it works. That's how I raise my kids. That's how I believe that mom and dad should be. And again, this is, everybody has a but. Now, there is no but. If you have a child, that is your child. And so I don't look at the school system being responsible to teach my kids economics. That's me. They know the numbers.
Oh, they won't learn it at school, Sean.
They're not going to learn any of it.
No.
They're not going to learn any of it. And so I really feel that we have a victim mentality with our parents, with the adults of today, and it's easily passed to the kids. And when you and I grew up, we didn't have this. Like, we ran in the kitchen and had a cord on a phone, and we had to run to the other room to talk to our friends. We didn't have smartphones. It didn't exist. And so now there's this real inundation of be a victim. Donald Trump's bad. This is bad. Don't do this. And that's the reason I feel now more than ever, it's up to the parents to get their house in order. It's up to mom and dad to take control of their life, because if they don't, they're just generationally passing the laziness, the victim mentality to their kids. And so, that's one of the things that we do with Lions Not Sheep, is really, really, really empower moms and dads and families and couples. Like, your home must be the sanctuary. It must be the foundation of education, the foundation of faith, the foundation of all of it for your kids. Because when they go outside, the world, the schools, everything's trying to break them of that and teach them that that's bad and wrong. It's bad to have morals. It's bad to talk about God. It's bad to pray. It's bad to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Not in my house. And so my kids know, and my kids have shared some really interesting experiences about, the world and where kids are and stuff like that. But, mom and dad just need to get their crap together, period. End of story. You can't blame anybody for anything. Wherever you are right now, you built that. So if you want to go someplace different, go someplace different.
Right. No, I couldn't agree with you more. Everybody seems to have an excuse for everything. And I do feel like we are at a point in our country and really in our culture where people are tired. They're just tired of it, Sean. Lions and Sheep it's such a good way to kind of look at the world and look at how you can be a part of the world. Because, if you think about the fact that we are constantly spoon-fed from the mainstream media, the things that they want us to consider and think about. And we're told, don't look over here. The censorship online, as you were talking about, you got in 2014 before they really got heavy-handed with these things. Do you feel like right now we are seeing change in our culture? Because I got to tell you, politically speaking, for our family, look, we've been a part of this crazy political space for it's 9 years now, because in 2015, that's when my father-in-law first announced he was running for president. So here we are in 2024. And I got to tell you, the feeling out there in the country to me is different right now. 2016 was something very unique. I certainly was surprised when I would go places, how people would come up and they would whisper to me that they're voting for Donald Trump. We don't need to rehash 2020. I obviously have a lot of thoughts on what happened there. But here we are in 2024, and it almost seems like we've crossed a line in our country with the things that they've tried to do to my father-in-law. But overall, the way that people are trying to it seems like they're being forced to live their lives in a way that is worse than it was previously. And that is just antithetical to everything we stand for as Americans and really how human beings are supposed to operate. Where do you see us, and what is your vibe out there in the country right now?
You can go two ways with it. I mean, if you are getting information and data from Fox or CNN, I mean, they're both on the same coin. They're both equally just, perpetuating and fear mongering. I see something different. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of members of Lions Not Sheep in our tribe. And I see strong families. I see men and women of faith. I see people taking control of their finances and their bodies and getting their home in order. And so I really believe that there's an underpinning and an undercurrent. Malcolm Gladwell talks about in his book, The Tipping Point, how the pendulum swings. And I think the pendulum has been swinging so far in insanity for so long that it's not sustainable. And so it's got to come back. And if you really step back and zoom out, as I like to say, and look at it, there's just insanity being shoved down everybody's throat. And I really do believe, and I don't care if you're black or white, gay or straight, Republican or Democrat, there's a lot of people that I know that were left-leaning that are kind of going, I don't really know anymore. And I'm not really sold on that. And so I really believe that we're at a tipping point. But I also believe, too, that, faith will always win. God will always win. And there's a lot of strong people out here. There are a lot of great families. I've been blessed to travel around the country and speak and do a lot of different, work with families and couples and business owners. And there's a lot of really badass people out there. There are a lot of strong businesses. There are a lot of people that truly have their house in order, that are people of faith, that are strong. And so I choose to look at that. And I see what's online. I collect the data and make myself informed. But the reality is, when you're looking at something like what's happening with Donald Trump, there's a lot of people who are like, man, this has crossed the line. Yeah. And this isn't political anymore. This is bad, because what if that's me? And there's black, white, gay, straight, rich, poor. You're looking at that going, this is not really like how it's supposed to be. So I have a ton of faith. I have a ton of faith in the country. I mean, I know who founded this country. I know what was going on in 1774 and 1775 and why we ended up in 1776. And there's no doubt about it that valiancy, that bravery, that audacity flows through our veins, and that there is a large group of people, far more than you're ever going to see on the mainstream media, that are there, that are very faith-driven, good families, solid. And I truly believe that that's the majority, but what we're seeing in a lot of this darkness is the minority. And so I love the country right now. I love where we are. I love what's going on, because it's you can't have the light without the darkness. And the more the darkness fights, the more the light is going to show up. And there's a lot of freaking badass people out there that are fighting for the light.
Oh, I like that. You can't, that's good. That's all good. And we need more light. We need more. And it's funny. I love how you kind of bring it back to God, because I have to tell you from the very beginning, look, nothing prepared any of us in our family for what we were about to enter. Moments after my father-in-law came down the golden escalator and announced he was running for president, they don't give you like a guidebook on how to deal with this. There's none, especially in our family. And we've just kind of had to learn as we've gone through it all. And it's just amazing to me to see how people have responded. And I have always said from the beginning that it's felt like God was in our corner, because I'll tell you something, everywhere I would go in 2016, people would always say, we're praying for you, we're praying for your family, we're praying for Donald Trump. I think now more than ever, people can feel God is a part of this. And to be honest with you, all of the crazy things that especially my father-in-law has had to endure, but certainly those of us in our family, people are like, how do you handle it? How does he handle it? And I'm like, you know what? I just have to have faith that God is in charge of things and that the right thing will happen. And every single time I went down to that courthouse in downtown Manhattan and sat there for that ridiculous show trial via Alvin Bragg and the prosecutors down in Lower Manhattan, there above the judge was still the sign, "In God We Trust," right above the judge. And I got to tell you, Sean, I kept looking at that and I was like, that's it. We have to trust him. Yep. We have to put our faith in him. We have to understand that sometimes things are not happening in our time. They're happening in his time. And I really believe he is a part of all of this. And I really believe that will be the reason that Donald Trump will be reelected as president come November 5th of this year. So I love that you continue to talk about that and you put that at the forefront of so much of what you do, because I think it's so important. And I really do think people feel it out there right now. Something is different and they're ready to fight. I want to ask you, what is one piece of advice you could give to people right now that they could use immediately to see some kind of change in their life?
Tell the truth. Tell the truth. It might be terrifying. It might be scary. It might be humbling. It might be embarrassing. Tell the truth. If you're married, tell your spouse the truth. Tell your kids the truth. We live in a day and age where sedation is really easy. It's really easy to just pull back and not share what you're thinking or what you're feeling. But there's nothing more damaging to our heart and our soul and our mind than living lies, than living in fear. And so I have found in coaching tens of thousands of people and literally speaking all around the world the last couple of years that I get asked this question all the time. What's the one bit of information? What's the one nugget? And it's tell the truth. And that. Anybody listening, you know what the truth is. You know what's in your heart. You know what's in your soul. And the longer that you bury that, the longer you shade that, the longer you twist that and hide that, the darker you will be. So it's not necessarily for the world or for this or for that or for the social media or for the likes or for the become an influencer or whatever else. It's for you. It's your personal freedom. You being able to share your truth, be open and raw and vulnerable with who you are. That's what I'm sure Donald Trump, same as me. I sleep well at night because I know, hey, you might not like me. You might not like what I have to say, but I sleep like a champ because I'm real. You might not like my position on this or that or the other, but there's nobody that's going to be out there like, well, I don't know if Sean's real about this. Like, yeah, that's his truth. And so share your truth, tell the truth, all times, all places, stand up tall, pick your head up, put your chest out and tell the damn truth.
I have chills right now. I love it. You're so awesome. Where can people follow you? Where can they find anything you've got going on?
Lionsnotsheep.com, SeanWhalen.com. Super easy to find if you're on social media or just on the interwebs. Thanks to
on all the things. Well, Sean Whalen, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate so much you taking some time, and we'll keep being lions, not sheep, out there, because that is the only way forward, I believe, for our country. And that's how we're going to win this thing come November 5th. Sean Whalen, thanks for joining us. To everybody at home, as always, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and follow. And we'll see you back here next time for more of The Right View.
And I won't back down. Hey, baby, there ain't no easy way out.
Nothing is worse than being on a phone call that drops. Nothing is worse than trying to text someone and you can't reach them because your phone is out of service range. And nothing is worse than supporting these major corporations and companies who don't support us. That is why I love Patriot Mobile. They are America's only Christian conservative wireless network. They use every cell tower out there available to all networks so that they have the greatest 4G and 5G coverage nationwide, and they support the causes that are important to us as conservatives. If you go today to patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump and use the promo code Trump, you will get free activation today. Again, that is patriotmobile.com/Lara Trump. The promo code is Trump for free activation so that you can get a great cell plan and feel good about doing it.